Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me, Josh Mansfield, on this Thursday, May 16th. And we're getting ready for the OTB Open as we head out for the West Coast swing. Josh, all the news this week, it's all about the West Coast. But it's not just because of the upcoming tournament. The PDGA just announced that the 2025 Champions Cup is going to be at Swensen Park in California, where they play the OTB Open, and it will take the place of OTB Open next year as a major, this time as the Champions Cup. We got to talk about that, but I want to wait until after we talk to Shawn, Jack, and Shawn Mercy, the TDs of the OTB Open. Sound okay to you?
It sounds great. I mean, it's time for the Shawns.
It's time for the Shawns, the annual Shawns.
That's right.
Let's not wait any longer. Shawn and Shawn, join us next, and we will get you ready for OTB. We've got some DGPT Championship qualification and format news, and we've also got Champions Cup discussion to come. Stay with us. It's the Upshot.
At Pound, the quality of our gear runs deeper than the stitching. That's why we make everything right here in the US, employing highly skilled, well-paid professionals. From bomb-proof Cordura fabric to YKK zippers and recycled plastics, we source the highest quality US materials to make the most comfortable, durable pack in disc golf. Our lifetime warranty stays with the pack, not the purchaser. So regardless of how you find us, we will be here to make sure your pack stays on the course and out of the landfill. Pound's integrity is held together with more than just thread.
The Upshot is presented by Sunset Lake CBD, a farm that originally started as a dairy farm producing milk and cream for Ben & Jerry's ice cream, but they've since diversified and started growing hemp for CBD. You got to check their products out. This is the highest quality CBD, super nice packaging, obviously really nice quality products themselves. I've been using the muscle rub when I have sore muscles. Feels fantastic, smells great. Really, really nice to be able to use that instead of, taking Tylenol or something like that. And you can save on Sunset Lake CBD products right now. You just got to go to sunsetlakecbd.com, use coupon code UPSHOT, and you will save 20% off your entire order. Joining us now on the Upshot in what has become an annual tradition, Shawn, Jack, and Shawn Mercy, the co-TDs of the OTB Open. Shawn's, welcome.
Thanks for having us. We're so excited. We love the tradition.
Yeah, thank you.
We got to start with the big news. You are running Champions Cup in 2025. We just got the press release maybe 45 minutes before we sat down with you here. Mm-hmm. And so PDGA not ready to run it down in Georgia yet for next spring. I guess tell us a little bit more about how this came together and, why OTB? Because this has been the wooded major and Swensen Park is not wooded.
We're buying lots of trees. As you know, Champions Cup location this year was a little uncertain. And I actually forwarded with the idea with Shawn to saying, hey, do we want to throw our hat in the ring and see if we can actually bring it out west in 2024. This is probably 4 to 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And so we even started conversations with the PDGA and the tour to see if that was a possibility. And it just didn't work out. And I think, at Northwood was fantastic this year. So when the PDGA approached us and said, they're not ready, Appling won't be ready, would we like to host it in 2025? We thought about it for a solid few weeks.
Yeah.
Shawn, I'm more of a yes man, or I'm the dad. And he's he didn't want to really consider it and talk to a lot of the stakeholders, the course designer, our sponsors, the PDGA itself, the tour, and we decided to say yes. So next year will be a 4-round major at Swensen Park. We intend to feature, I would like to see at least 6 B positions on the course, so that there's more variety. We're doing one this year on hole 9. Hole 9 will be a par 5 on Saturday only. And yeah, we couldn't be more excited. The timing of the announcement's obviously great as we ramp into the tournament in a couple days. And hopefully it'll, drive up some hype that this is a major preview in 2024.
Josh, really quick.
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to ask dates. Are they set for a specific set of days? Is it going to be like basically this time next year?
May 1st through the 4th. Yep.
Okay.
On the
Go ahead,
calendar.
Josh.
So we're about 2 weeks in advance, which should actually help us with weather to make it a bit more perfect. It's this weekend is I think the high is 83.
Yeah,
and
but it's been mid 90s. So.
Yeah, it should be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Will this be taking the place of OTB?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not doing. No way.
Yeah.
Look,
that's a good question, but yeah, and we intend to fully return to the tour in 2026. Maybe as an Elite Plus event, it's hard to go backwards once you've already established a 4-round tournament.
Yeah. For any amateurs that are listening, we will be doing the OTB Open amateur event next year.
And the winner of that tournament actually gets the ticket to play Champions Cup.
wow. Okay.
Love that.
Yeah, that was something we wrote in the contract. And 4 California tournaments are qualifiers, including 2 that have already happened. Daniel Bowe Memorial, the Masters Cup, and then what we're really psyched about is the San Francisco Safari winner gets to play the Champions Cup, which is our home course tournament. So we're really psyched to share that message with the locals in the Bay Area.
That's really cool. How close is the OTB amateur tournament going to be to the major itself?
It'll be the weekend before, like we have been doing for the Elite Series.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like it acts as a dress rehearsal for us to do the big show. I can't imagine not doing it. It really allows us to just make sure everything's absolutely perfect. And it's a good fundraiser for the event.
Well, I think it also creates opportunities for spectators as well to come down and play the amateur
and
event.
Volunteers.
Yeah, stay the week, make a full trip out of it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So are you, was there any discussion about the fact that this doesn't really fit the mold of what this tournament has been when it comes to a course design?
Yeah, by far was my biggest consideration. I know that some people will, just be disappointed that it's not on a wooded course. But what are we supposed to do? Say no because of that?
I hear you.
There hasn't been a mixed pro major on the West Coast, in California rather, since 2011 when Worlds was here. So the fact that we have the opportunity to bring that to the state and to the region in general is, how do we say no? There's way too many pros and upsides for us and disc golf in general on the West Coast. It also, we've never had a lot of the European women at our tournament because they go home. And I imagine now the West Coast will be just a much
heavily
more,
attended.
I think, yeah. Portland's, whatever events end up getting on the West Coast for 2025. Hopefully the whole tour comes to the West Coast and then departs and goes to Europe together.
Yeah, I love that with the European Worlds. I think that's an excellent. You might really be the West Coast might be the central point prior to Europe for the entirety of the tour.
Yeah, and actually, it's really easy to fly to Europe from here. You can fly direct from SFO to many stops, and it's not much longer to fly, honestly, when you're going over the North Pole.
Right, they do a polar route.
So, this is maybe not a question for you, but the PDGA was trying to host Champions Cup in Georgia in November of this year. And then they were like, actually, wait a minute. And now they're not even going to be ready for another calendar year. What's the holdup from your understanding as to why they won't be ready by next year?
I think they're just doing this out of an abundance of caution. It's just, I think it's a smart move by Doug and his team to just take one more year off to know that in 2026 it'll be perfect.
And in light of, the scheduling changes for 2024's event.
Oh, that too, yeah.
There was so much uncertainty around whether they could do it there. Then they thought they could, then they realized they probably couldn't. And so I think they just wanted to get back on a good release schedule, announcement schedule, and stick to it.
And it's the seasonality works to have it in California in May. Like we have typically, knock on wood, ideal weather. We shouldn't suffer any of the same issues that Northwood had with rain, wind, low spectating. We should probably, this event routinely gets, over 1,000 spectators, up to 1,500. Hopefully we'll pop off 2 to 3K next year due to the increased interest. So I know the downside of not having a wooded major, and I will give Casey White a big hug when I see him there today. But we love our venue. The players are really happy this year, and I can't wait to get back there this morning and share the news with them and see what their thoughts are.
So I want to shift to a bigger overall question, because one of the things as you know, I love the wooded majors. I was disappointed it's not in the woods, but right. I mean, I think everybody enjoys having that major that is dedicated to the woods. But that being said, one of the things that I thought of was how excited I am to continue to have a really excellent tournament director crew and a crew that is running this event who has experience in large events and the logistics side that is really important to making a major go smoothly. And especially as this one has the uncertainty around it, I think that's especially important. You told us probably the first year that you came on the show to talk about the OTB Open, and you're going to have to forgive me. I don't remember the name of your guys' company that runs
1,000 Rated Productions.
That's right. 1,000 Rated Productions. There it is. It's on the t-shirt. 1,000 Rated Productions. It is a for-profit company. You run it as a business.
Mm-hmm.
How is that company going? And what are your financials looking like are you making and turning profits from OTB Open? How does the major play into that?
Great question. We've always been pretty transparent about the organization, which I think is fun for listeners out there. So the 2 years we were in San Francisco, we lost roughly $20,000. And then ever since we moved to Stockton, we've been marginally profitable. Last year was pretty good, where Shawn and I were actually able to repay ourselves from that debt. So we're whole. The company is, I would say, very solvent this year due to the success of the MVP OTB disc program. We get royalties from the discs from both parties, and it has allowed us to, there's no stress financially, which is a really comfortable place to be as event organizers in order to do, some really fun stuff.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you guys to see what we've done on hole one. Like, the stage is sort of our identity, and we've leaned into it this year where we've put a luxury box behind the tee that's available to Gold Pass members, sponsors, and players. And this kind of stuff, we're spending now, we're going to scrape about $50,000 for spectator costs, and we can afford it. And it's nice to do that and have no stress concerns when it comes to financials. Shawn and I have actually never taken a draw out of the company. And it's 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a good, we might, but the organization is very solvent. And we're quite content all around.
So tell us more about the luxury box. What exactly is that?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you get when you go inside it? Do you just get a feeling of luxury, or is there actual luxury items?
Yeah, I'm coining it the Waterloo Water Love Lounge. I would love to get Waterloo to sponsor the OTB Open or the Champions Cup, because we are big fans of icy cold carbonated water. So my wife is an interior designer, and I gave her the specs for a 24 by 16 area. And she professionally designed it, so we have sectional couch seating that fits about 10 to 12 people, bar top seating behind it, so we can fit 20 to 25 individuals up there. It's elevated above the stage by a foot, and it's literally 6 feet from the tee pad.
Yeah, standing right behind the tee pad.
Yeah, the players are actually really enjoying it now during practice. And hole one, is not a fantastic golf hole as far as the feature of the shot, but you get to watch the players throw a 500-foot drive from a really, really enviable position. It's like being front row at a basketball game, where at any moment, you could be on the ground. You shouldn't, but you could be there. So, and we'll provide some beverages to individuals. But I'm really excited I'm honestly excited to sit there this weekend and watch some sweet Frisbee shots.
We know that you've also done other, real big spectator amenities, and I think, was it Party Island?
Yeah.
Party
Island's back.
Party Island's back. Tell us about Party Island. Tell us about other kind of features that
Party Island is back with more shade. We're going to have twice as much shade with about 8 10 by 10s. We were removing the benefit as for VIP only for the elevated viewing platform because I wanted it to be a general admission feature. So anyone can go up there. And I know this is like a small one, but one of the things I did for Amateur Weekend, which I'm really proud of, is I bought a misting system and installed it on tents. So our guests now can enjoy, they can cool themselves off when they enter. Bleachers on 18. We actually removed the bleachers on 12. They just weren't used. And
bleachers on 1.
Yeah, big bleachers on hole 1. We have a party going pretty much all day during tea times. We play music loudly, obviously not during the broadcast where there's copyright issues. Honestly, we feel so strongly about the vibe on hole 1 that we had to compromise the Pro Tour's FOMO cam because we refused to not play our music and have it because they have a live mic on. They have a live mic on it, so it would have affected the ability to broadcast on YouTube. And so we honestly dug our heels in, and because it's just the vibe is too good.
Absolutely, it wasn't worth risking it.
What are ticket sales like thus far?
I just checked. We are close to 1,000. Last year we did 1,400. So we're year over year. I think we're down marginally, and hopefully, today's announcements, and as more players are talking about their enjoying the experience, we'll get to about the same as last year, which would actually be kind of a win compared to the tone. So most events are down 10 to 15% so far. So I would love to be I think flat, honestly, in 2024 is a decent goal across the disc golf industry in general. So I would be content to get to 2023's numbers.
Some people have been talking online about the prices for the OTB Open being a little bit high. It's $40 for a GA ticket on Sunday, and some people are like, oh, you can't even see most of the course with a GA ticket. Why are prices where they're at? And, what would you say to somebody who's on the fence about coming out because of that?
If anyone's on the fence and they buy a ticket and they come and they don't enjoy it, come see me. I will refund you. I'll give you a money back guarantee. I know that's a bold statement to say into the ether but it's how I feel. Basically our pricing scheme is that VIP is twice as much as GA, almost across the board. Mm-hmm. You can see the entire course for GA except for holes 2 through 5 and 8 and 9. Mm-hmm. Otherwise you can see, so it's 60 to 70% of the course, plus the vendor village and the you can see the players in the putting courts and the driving range. The vendor village is fantastic. The food court has a jumbotron, which I think is where I spend a lot of my time.
The food court is stepping up their game again this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool offerings. So honestly, I think our GA experience is as good as anyone's on tour. But I'm not against reducing cost also. I think we should look at next year, Thursday and Friday, doing really affordable passes to get people in the door, or BOGO offers, buy one, get one free, giving away free tickets to, schools. We have a high school across the street with 1,000 kids. I actually had this crazy idea that we should have the marching band do a halftime show on hole 1, just to get them involved. So I hear you. We're also in California where things are more pricey than other parts of the country, but you can get a ticket for $20 on Friday.
Yeah, and we also we did a discount ticket program and VIP pass giveaway with 13 local clubs, or regional clubs, really. So I don't know, we probably gave the opportunity to 3,000 people to get tickets that were on par with pricing last year. So 10% discount for VIP and 20% for GA. Mm-hmm. So there's been, opportunities for also getting slightly lower cost tickets.
Switching over then to some of the competitive side, course changes that we can expect for this year.
So there's lots of small changes. For example, on hole 1, we've added a hazard on the right side of really the MPO fairway. The biggest changes I would say are new MPO 13 T pad that allows us to use the same basket as FPO last year. It's a beautiful area. We actually installed the T pad and then terraformed and added sod so that it would blend right in with the surroundings. And then we did a new FPO 16 hole design as well.
That was awesome.
So they now basically get the FPO version of the MPO hole 16. So they're teeing back just in front and to the left of MPO with a different basket location to make that work for distance. And then, just a ton of small changes.
Mandos.
We have a new FPO 6 T-pad as well that shortens the hole up slightly, gives it a different perspective. And again, just tons of small changes. I think in general, we're always looking to iterate and take feedback and make improvements year over year. Leonard has the same exact mindset. He looks at the data, for hours and hours, looking for opportunities or weaknesses in the course design for better balance and better scoring separation. So I think, while we didn't really, it's probably the least amount of course changes that we've made since we've been in Stockton, but I think they're nice complementary changes to a layout that was already pretty good.
We did have a Discord user, Far Mitch, said that we needed to talk about the winning score in MA1, and that he says he was playing a different game from the rest of the field, and that this course plays hard.
Yeah, how many?
One by 10 strokes. He shot. So for reference, Isaiah Oliver won the amateur event in MA1. He shot 5 over par, which was 1,004 rated event. Ronald Powers was in second place, back 10 strokes.
Yeah, 2 over is the SSA for amateurs. I think that'll go down to 1 over because the pros can just have the ability to get more birdies.
Sure.
And then at the women's side, we're psyched. The 6 down was SSA on there. So I don't think we'll have a better score. It'll be close, like the best score against par from the women to the men. I would love to have it someday where it actually is lower for FPO.
Last year it was, where Paige won with 25
really?
under, and Emerson Keith won with 23 under.
Oh,
I think
awesome.
You're one of the very, very, very few events that happens at ever.
Yeah, we've
That's intentional.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I appreciate
Absolutely.
Yeah, we only have one shared basket and tee on the whole course, hole 5, right? It's a par 4. It's like under 600 feet. It's eagleable for the men, but it's not easy. We take a lot of pride in making sure that the FPO course is dialed in with a lot of unique tee pads and basket locations.
Obviously, the big news about the next year's Champions Cup is probably going to be the thing people are talking about leading into this tournament. But are there other things that you feel like are notable changes for this year compared to last year besides like bleachers and luxury box?
That was the big new thing. I know that sounds like simple, but I always want to do one big new thing every year. So the luxury box or the Waterloo Water Love Lounge was the big one. And I think this year we just really tighten the screws on a lot of things. Like, first of all, the course looks the best it's ever in history. Like, California had a great winter, and the Swensen staff has, they're on like the 5th year of their 5-year plan. So the course just looks absolutely stunning. It should look great on camera on the drone shots. So nothing enormous, honestly, besides that, and just making beautiful. We focused a lot on beautification.
Yeah, I mean, so we, in the past couple of years, we had to work on 30 plus T pads, first installing foundations. Talked about that, I think, in 2022, and then last year we installed the turf on those foundations, plus a few additional new ones. This year we had to work on under 10 T pads. And so we refocused that effort into, doing things like terraforming and buying sod, installing sod. One thing that doesn't really affect play very much, but is going to look much better this year, result in fewer lost discs, is there's like a really overgrown area on hole 9 to the right. I actually had a tractor in there a couple weekends ago and totally cleared out all of this debris and weeds and everything. So we had opportunity to get into projects on the course that we couldn't even think about the past couple of years. We still ended up putting probably $7,000 into the course, and had probably 600 to 700 volunteer hours leading up to it, not including all the work that we've put in over the past week.
And thank you to those folks.
Yeah, thank you so much to all the volunteers.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing. On Saturday night we have our fly marts. We're also having Disc in the Dark. We're having glow golf, which was really popular at Maple Hill last year. We have live music, player vending. It's free. So I should have said that when you mentioned the ticket cost. So we actually do have a free event starting at 6 p.m. on Saturday that you can attend and engage with the players. OTB will be dropping, some limited edition frisbees that have colorways that are only available at the event itself. MVP also has discs, detours, and what's the other one? Rhythms at their booth that are only available on site, and like really cool stamps. I saw one this morning sell for $80 on the MVP collector group page. So come to the tournaments, and you actually, speaking of like the cost, you actually
get your money back by buying a disc and scalping it on eBay.
You're absolutely right.
I love it.
Yes, there's more changes than I guess I thought. Saturday night should be a fun party. Please join us. Yeah. And by the way, the stage is open to all once the final MPO card tees off. Like, we usually put a couple baskets out there and we let people practice throw and just enjoy the day.
Got it. Are you thinking about any significant alterations to the course for next year? Because obviously hosting the major, maybe you're thinking about, there's a couple of things we've been kind of wanting to do, and we've got the 4th round. You mentioned the B positions. Maybe that's the big thing, but just curious if that's already been in your mind at all.
I'd like to do 6 B positions. When I asked Leonard, who's maniacal, he's like, why not 18 B positions?
Now that's like, I like that.
Love that idea.
Like that. Well, I'm on Team Leonard. Yes, the pressure. Now you have to do it.
Well, then now you have 2 courses, right? You have basically 2 courses. I would rather not install new tee pads, or Shawn wouldn't. He does most of that work.
We're not.
It's got to be basket changes, right?
There's a lot of land out here.
Yeah. We're gonna. I'm sure we'll install a few new tee pads. But definitely there's opportunity to do some really nice B positions. Since we have 4 rounds, we'll be able to alternate. As opposed to this weekend, we're only doing the whole 9 B position on Saturday. So I think that will definitely be pretty cool. But yeah, we absolutely have already been thinking about it. Leonard has a epic Google map that has all of the course design information on it, and he's got a layer that is 2025 Champions Cup. So
I'd like to see, like, obviously it's easy to make a par 3, a par 4, a par 4, par 5. I'd like to see some of the longer holes become shorter. I think that would be fun, because we're known to be one of the longest courses on tour. So I'd like to take holes 4, 5, and 6 and just maybe make them par 3s. I think that could work.
Love it. Love that idea. What baskets do you guys use on your course again?
MVP.
Black Hole Portals.
Okay. Just checking. Baskets have become a conversation, so I wanted to.
Shawn did a lot of quality control with the staff at MVP to make sure our baskets are tip-top shape.
Yeah,
great.
They're as good as they can be.
No discs falling through cages.
Well, no, definitely not that. But baskets are baskets. There is no perfect disc golf basket. We all have our preferences. We love our sponsor, so we're definitely going to be using their baskets.
Very, very fair. Hey, the other question I wanted to ask, you had mentioned, did I hear right that you have a 5-year agreement on this land?
No.
We're year to year.
Year to year.
Year to year.
Contract with Swensen.
Okay.
But they absolutely love us. They love this event, and it's not just the leaders of the organization. All of the staff love us. I work super closely.
We love each other.
Yeah, we're a family.
Right.
No, I mean we're really good. We're really close with the GM Joe Smith. and also the superintendent, Caesar, is fantastic. They've actually been doing projects on the course for us and with us over the past couple weeks. So it's fantastic. We don't have a contract. We want to stay flexible, but at the same time, we don't see any reason to move right now.
No. And we talked to all our key stakeholders before Champions Cup announcement was made to ensure that we could rinse, wash, repeat, because the relationships are vital, not just financially. Like there's a lot of, I was thinking yesterday driving around, like the event has a great vibe, and it's because us, Swensen, MVP, OTB, the PDGA, the Disc Golf Pro Tour are really all rowing in the same direction with very few conflicts, and just really working together. And it's everyone will be returning to ensure that the Champions Cup is a wild success.
All right. Well, Paige Pierce won this last year. What odds you put on her winning it again this year?
Like Vegas style? Probably like 10. You like to express it as like in $100 bet, right, Charlie?
You could say
What
10
would
to
you
1.
put on her odds to win last year?
If that's what you're going
I
to say,
think,
10 to 1.
10 to 1, I think, is about
That's
right.
plus 1,000.
Which is, plus 1,000, which like last year she would have been 2 to 5. Like,
That's right.
So it's I did not pick her in my local fantasy league that I have with my buddies. I did it this morning and thought about it.
I haven't made my picks yet.
Oh, you
I'm
didn't?
still waiting to see some throws.
Well, it helps because we know who's early. We know who's practiced starting on Monday, so it's good to know who's got as many reps on the course. But yeah, listen, as a storyline, I would love it if she won. Like that would be great.
It would be incredible.
Yeah, like I think Eagle winning and then Paige would be like a pretty spectacular storyline, right?
That would be.
And I will say, I think Paige tends to find her groove when she's in California.
Yeah, she's sponsored by OTB. Like the club, the store here is pretty ridiculous as far as the environment. It's amazing. It's a lot of fun. And I think she just feels it kind of at home.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. All right. Well, guys, thanks so much. I know we had a little technical difficulties getting on the air, so we're going to let you go because we want to make sure that you have time to get to everything that you need to get to. And we appreciate, as always, you coming on. Oh, last thing I want to ask you, do we have a projected purse?
Yeah. So last year we were $100,000, and this year we will be at least about $110,000. So we're looking to increase by 10%. Sustainable growth. The OTB MVP disc program actually raised us a bit more money with whole sponsorships. Some of the other retailers out there supported the event in order to get access to buy more discs. And we told them we were not going to take that money. We're going to pass it right onto the purse. So we're able to raise another $10K through that program. So we're looking to add about $60,000 on top of the player's entry fee. So it should be about $110.
10% is great growth. Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right.
We'll see how that goes next year.
Yeah.
Shawn Mercy, thanks so much for being with us, and good luck this weekend. We'll be watching.
Thank you. Josh, we'll see you at the Champions Cup next year.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Later. Have a great day.
All right, guys. Bye-bye. We'll be right back on the Upshot. Welcome back to the Upshot. Thanks again to Shawn and Shawn Mercy for joining us here on the Upshot, as they do every single year. Josh, always great to talk to them. Before we talk Champions Cup stuff, just any other thoughts on this year's OTB Open or anything that they've got cooking?
OTB is developing itself as just a brand of the biggest and best spectator event on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And honestly, I don't think that's a bad place to go. It's in California, and I think to kind of kick off the West Coast swing, it's a nice way to distinguish itself from what are up and coming, in my opinion, two of some of the best courses on tour at Milo MacGyver and at Glendoveer. And so to make yourself and to define your brand as the place for spectators, I think it's a great choice, and I always have appreciated their transparency in that and their goals and how consistent they've been with the follow-through and trying to deliver that product.
VIP Lounge. I like it.
Love it.
That feels like they stole that idea from USDGC, where they had the like zone behind the triple Mando hole, and honestly, that was sweet.
I'm curious.
I went in there and like watched some throws after the FPO coverage wrapped up for the final round. So I was watching MPO players teeing off. That's just a great spot. You're like right there.
Yeah.
You can be in the shade. You can grab a seat for a second after you've been walking around. And like, I feel like that's the kind of thing we're going to need to see more of. Like little clubhouse cabana somewhere on the course where you can pop in, get a beer, hang out for a little bit. That's the kind of VIP I'm talking about.
Well, and even for like your GA to have tents with misting systems, like that's just such a nice touch. That's very, very greatly improves a spectator experience, I think. And you know, it's interesting because we've seen people who go to tournaments and who write in and tell us that they had a bad time, that they couldn't see, the fairways were too crowded, there weren't any amenities, there were no vendors, and for Shawn to come on and say, go find him if you don't have a good time, and I will give you a refund. Like, if one, I believe he'll do it, but two, I really don't think he'll need to. I really think that they do a nice job, and the people are going to enjoy it. So
somebody's going to snake him and have a great time and still ask for their money back. I can just feel it. Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. We will find out about you and we'll shame you publicly on this podcast. All right. Champions Cup. All right. We got to talk about it. I thought what they had to say made complete sense. They're like, yeah, you know, maybe it isn't the right thing for it to be on this course, but like, what are we going to do? Like, we feel confident that we can do this. We think it's exciting to have a MPO and FPO combined major on the West Coast for the first time in like 10 years. And so I certainly do not blame them. But the question is this what the PDGA should have done? They've clearly established this as a wooded major. That has been the consensus. We've all talked about it. People love WR Jackson. Obviously, terrible situation with the Beatles. I guess they're not going to be ready with this new course by next year. So, you know, I know that they delayed picking somebody to build the new course. We haven't seen anything about that, so I'm guessing that they still haven't even really gotten started on the process. So obviously, they had to find somewhere to put it. Given the fact that the Shawns had reached out earlier, it's certainly a kind of a path of least resistance for them to say, hey, will you guys run this major? We know you're going to do a good job. And I think there's no question about that. But does this dilute what this major has been and people sort of are expecting from it?
Yes, it does. Unfortunately, it does a little bit. I think that if we get back to WR Jackson, and honestly, like in any time in like the first 5 years of the, like, I don't think it needs to be next, even if it isn't 2026, right? Like the year after. I think as long as you get back to WR Jackson within 5 years, after 5 years at WR Jackson, the history book will write, hey, remember that crazy time that like the Beatles made us play in Stockton, California? And no one's going to care. And it's going to regain that identity. Like, I think everyone understands that this is not the process and not the major that they wanted. But you know, the big thing, the only hang up I have, I really like that the Shawns are going to be running it because like you said, they do a good job and I'm glad it's on the West Coast. I'm curious to know if there were efforts to find out if somebody would run it at Milo. Like, you have one of the world's best wooded courses up the coast and still on the West Coast. It is an Elite Series event that could be you could replace with the major. I would have loved it at Milo, and I think it would have probably been a little bit more on brand at Milo, but I don't know what efforts the PDGA made in order to achieve that.
This event, man. Aaron in the Discord said, I was going to say, we're ruining the Champions Cup identity by not having it on a wooded course, but this is truly its identity. Chaos.
That's the most spot on comment.
Let's go through the history of Champions Cup. Okay, I just pulled up. This tournament has gotten more articles on Ulti-World Disc Golf than maybe any other tournament. Okay, so 2021, the PDGA confirms after rumors and is in the board minutes what's going to happen. Fourth major, they say, hey, we're doing it. Fourth major. It's going to feature stroke play followed by match play in April 2022. So this news came out at the beginning of 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, people lost their minds. Macbeth comes out and is like, this is a clown show. Like, let's see. I'm trying to remember now. This is why I'm going to look at it here in the context, because people were like, this is terrible. And they didn't announce until November, I believe, after Macbeth didn't have it on his tour schedule.
That's right. Yeah.
And like there was like sponsor pressure from Bushnell and others who were like, yo, like, what are we doing with this stupid format? Like, we can't not have Macbeth here. So 10 months later in November, they announced that they were switching to a stroke play format. Okay.
Okay.
So we go through the tournament and it was great.
It goes great.
It was great, right? Like,
yep.
Is it Worlds? No. But it went really well.
Mm-hmm.
W.R. Jackson, like, totally shined. And, you know, we see the big win from Paige Pierce over Kristen on the final hole. Chris Dickerson wins it. You know, it just, like, it was great, right?
It delivered exactly what we wanted from the fourth major.
It totally delivered.
Early, it made the season better. It was on a wooded course. Like, it was everything that we were asking for. It was perfect.
Then they announce Champions Cup next year will be held at D-Glow in the Toboggan in Michigan.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, why? Why? Like, it just went so great. Like, why would you do this? So then in August 2022, they said, just kidding. We're going to be back at W.R. Jackson, likely for good.
I forgot that D-Glow. I thought D-Glow was tied to the Beatles. I forgot that was just a cell phone.
That was a cell phone.
That was an unforced error.
So then, okay, we have Champions Cup last year. It goes great again. Isaac Robinson is cooking.
Yeah.
You know, Kristen is like total revenge tour, kicks off her Grand Slam season. And then obviously, okay, brutal pine beetle infestation. W.R. Jackson's getting scratched.
The first thing that's not the PDGA's fault, by the way.
It's not their fault. So what do they say? They say, okay, we're going to put this tournament now in November of 2023. And everyone's like, why are you doing this? Why are you putting it in November? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, the whole thing is like, this is a springtime major. This is good. And like, this is a terrible spot for you to be in, but you can't put it in November after the Tour Championship and USDGC. It just makes no sense.
3 majors plus the Tour Championship in the span of like 2.5 months.
Okay. So they're like, you know what? Everybody, you're right. This doesn't make sense. Nate Heinold, board of directors president, please bail us out. So he's like, you know what? Okay, I'll put it at Northwood Black. So they schedule it at Northwood Black. But they schedule it over the top of a European DGPT event. And the Europeans are like, yo, what are you doing? So
Paul Macbeth rolls up his sleeves and grabs his keyboard and he's like, gosh, I got to do it again. Freaks out about it.
They reschedule it for, you know, what, a couple of weeks ago when we just had it.
Yep.
I thought it was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
You know, the spectators were brutally bad, but like it was fun. You know, Evelina wins, Andrew Presnell wins. We get the challenging woods course. I don't know if for me it was like quite as nice as being in, you know, it was kind of muddy, sloppy, crappy weather.
Illinois
Georgia in the spring. I mean, there's a reason they have the Masters there. Like, it's just spectacularly beautiful.
Yes.
And again, the PDGA, there's nothing they can do, right? They had to move it. There was no choice. They ultimately have been kind of making the right choices along the way.
Yes.
But they're like, hey, we're going to be back here next year, 2024. And now they're not. And the choice, once again, just simply doesn't make sense. It simply doesn't make sense. It only makes sense in the context of having great TDs.
Yes.
And I know that that's important, and probably it should supersede any other concerns. It's not like it's going to be the worst thing of all time. It's still going to be a good tournament, I'm sure, but truly, why? Like, you should just try to do anything else. And that's nothing that has, I have no issue with Shawn, Jack, and Shawn Mercy. I think that they're going to do a fantastic job. Ultimately, I'm going to get excited for this tournament, but it just is another brick in the path of decisions about this tournament that just do not make sense. So it is what it is. We'll all get over it, but it's frustrating to have what has become clearly the springtime wooded major become the springtime 11,000 foot golf course. Sorry. What a saga.
What a saga. And it's starting to feel like a movie franchise that did the trilogy and then is like, we probably could make more money from this. And now we're on number 7 and everyone's like, okay, please stop. This is none of us asked for this. That's how I'm starting to feel about this tournament. I mean, look, I'm glad that they had the foresight to get a bid out and get this awarded, and give the tournament a year to prep and not pretend that we're going to be at WR Jackson if we're not going to be there, and then we throw something together, right?
Totally.
That great call there. I think
have to do that.
That's already a great start. And I think probably deserves credit to Doug Bjerkes, this is his first year, who's going to be overseeing Champions Cup, and so I think he's probably the one that deserves some credit for that. Great choice there, and the big thing, and this one, this is weird because I thought I would be more upset about this, and I think the shoe's on the other foot. I think you are more upset about that not being at the wooded courses than I am, because to me, it's just it is. This is a crappy situation. And in the case of a crappy situation of just we can't get back to WR Jackson, I love the idea of because listen, for the past couple of years, twice now, we have had people who are integrally involved with either the Disc Golf Pro Tour or the PDGA have to step in and run a major because they couldn't get bids. Jeff Spring ran Worlds over at in Vermont, and Nate Heinold had to run is running both Champions Cup and now Worlds as well this year. I think both of them do an excellent job. This isn't a knock on either of them and how they run majors. I think they both do fantastic jobs at that. I want more TD crews with the level of professionalism that can take on events like this and run them to a standard that will elevate disc golf. And the Shawns are that case. And so I agree. I wish it was at a wooded course, but I'm so excited for the opportunity for the Shawns to run this tournament and run a major and to see how what that's like and get new tournament director blood in the majors. I'm very excited about that.
It's a fair take. I listen, I'm not that worked up about this. I just feel like it's another self-inflicted wound.
It is.
That a lot of people are going to be annoyed by. And that's already what you're seeing online.
Oh, it is. And
it's not like you couldn't anticipate it. It's not like that's not been obviously talked about as the wooded major.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, if Nate Heinold was able to turn around and do this with 5 months notice, then I'm sure that whoever TD with a year notice could put it on a wooded course next spring. I think that would be doable if they so chose. And honest to God, they might still just change their mind and do it.
Oh my gosh.
Probably not. But it would be on brand for the Champions Cup.
It would be on brand. The Shawn spoke a little bit too much about contracts.
Yeah. Listen, they're going to do a good job. It's going to be fine, everybody. But I just think, why not kick some tires on wooded course? That's the whole concept of this event, right?
I mean, you're right.
This just completely saps its. The only thing that it has some sort of continuity with is that it's in the spring. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is not really enough. But ultimately, what were they going to do? Yeah. It was going to have to go somewhere else. We were all anticipating it going back, so that was going to be disappointing no matter what.
Yep.
But 4 rounds at the Fort?
I mean,
4 rounds in Oregon?
But
there's choices that would have made more logical sense for the tournament, I think.
And that's fair. But I mean, 2 weeks ago, Idaho and Utah and Montana were in snow.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's fair.
It makes sense to put it somewhere nice where we're going to get better weather.
I hear you. I do hear you. I just think, really, to me, it shows me that I still feel strongly that the PDGA needs to hire somebody whose job is to run maybe just the Champions Cup. That's their job.
Yeah.
Year round. Let's move on. The DGPT Championship format is changing again. Speaking of tournaments that are really struggling to figure it out. Maybe this is it, though, Josh. Remember last year, they switched over from the play-in rounds to a FedEx Cup-like starting stroke advantage for the top finishers on the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings. They played 2 rounds. The top half, or whatever it was, qualified to advance to the final 2 rounds, at which point they reset the scores to everybody to even, and then they played the last 2 rounds from straight race to the finish. Right. It had pros and cons, but it still kind of had that fluky feeling that you get from having everybody just have to play 2 rounds for $35,000.
Where you reset scores to 0.
Right.
Where nothing matters. Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So they are changing it up again. And now they will still have the starting stroke advantage. The numbers are changing. We will put them up on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. And they are not resetting the scores, and it will be a 4-round tournament with no cut. So now here's the MPO starting strokes. First place in the standings will get 10 stroke. They start at 10 under. Second place, 9 under. Third place, 8 under. Fourth place, 7 under. Cascading down to 29th through 32nd, starting at even par. So if you're at the bottom, if you barely squeak in, you're starting 10 strokes back with the best player on the season. That's a tough place to be, but hey, at least you got in.
Yep.
FPO, very similar, just numbers condensed a little bit because they only have 20 qualifiers compared to the MPO's 32. What do you think, Josh?
One other thing I want to add in terms of the format, they did mention in the release that if you qualify by winning a DGPT event, that you will not bump the last seed. You will just get added to the bottom.
I like that.
Yes. So
I like that. I think it makes a lot of sense not to punish the person who had the much better season just because they didn't win a tournament.
Right.
Especially now in this new format where adding people at the bottom isn't really,
it doesn't hurt you
tangibly impact the competitive fairness.
Right. Yeah. I like this format. I think this one makes the most sense. One of the biggest things, the most important things, is that you need to be able, when you sell big events, because at the end of the day, the Pro Tour Championship should be online with the majors in the sense that even your casual disc golf fans are yes, I want to watch this event. That there should be the 4 majors, as well as the DGPT Championship, and that needs to be your core. That at least people want to watch those events, especially live, right? And they buy your subscription for a month in order to go in and access and watch these events. That should be your goal, or just buy that event individually to watch them live. No one is going to do that when the format is a nightmare to keep track of and to understand and to try and figure out why and what's going on. That is not the way to make this a spectator and viewer friendly event. And that was kind of seen last year when the spectator numbers were absolutely horrendous. I think this is an excellent choice. I get that the people at the top are going to have a pretty significant advantage, and it's really going to feel like the people who are starting with 0 strokes are going to be trying to just improve how much cash they get. But there's enough cash on the line that's meaningful and gives them a meaningful reason to play for. And the guys at the top, it's going to be interesting to watch the kind of players and the way that you have to play with a lead and chase down a lead already being backed by some strokes. I think this is a good choice.
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously strongly enhances the likelihood that one of the season's top, 5 to 10 players is going to win the championship. But that's the whole point, right? Like, if you think about this as a bonus for your season, you should get an advantage going into this kind of tournament. And it's not like, having 4 strokes over 4th place, if you're the number 1 seed, it's not like that's massive.
A stroke per round.
Like, if you don't play well, you're not winning.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to drop all the way down below the people who are in the 20s? Probably not. But, 4 rounds. There's time for anybody to make that up. It would be an incredible story if somebody who started at even was to shoot 4 lights out rounds and win the whole thing. I just think this was the right choice. This is what did we talk about right after the event? We literally talked about this. It's like, do this, and they did it.
I'm sorry, Nathan Queen's DGPT Championship still, like, it in hindsight rings a little hollow.
It was pretty sick, though.
It was sick. It absolutely was. And that was the interesting thing about, like, the event. It felt like more of like an exhibition event where it's like, oh, wow, that was really exciting, right? Chris Dickerson, same way, like, came up all the way, had to start on day 1 and play all the way through. Kevin Jones had to do it. Nathan Queen had to do it. And like, it was exciting to watch. But then you look back and you're like I see on people's Instagram bios, like, Disc Golf Pro Tour champion, or like so many times, and I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. You might as well put match play champion or world's doubles champion on your Instagram bio. Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. This makes it mean a little something in terms of how you played in the season, as it should.
All right, time to talk about the OTB Open. We're not going to belabor the point here, as we already talked about it a lot with the Shawns. I did want to take a quick look at a couple of the holes that they talked about. So, again, we'll throw it up here on YouTube. They mentioned hole 9, playing with 2 pin positions. So you've got, in round 1 for MPO, it's 767-foot par 4, playing to the short tee, just across the OB water. And then for round 2, they're going to play it as a 1,067-foot par 5 with the basket pushed back, 300 feet. Into the trees, down like a skinny fairway. I will say this is not my preference for how there should be secondary pin positions. I'm really glad they're trying this. This to me is like the next evolution of Pro Tour level tournaments is having multiple pin positions. I'd rather see the whole change in a more meaningful way besides distance, which would be like a basket position that forces you to throw a turnover or a forehand rather than a hyzer backhand. Yeah. Things that kind of like change the shot more dramatically. But hey, I still like it.
Yeah, and that's fair. I think that I like that idea. I agree. I'm very happy that this is being done. I wish every single tournament would do this. I wish every single tournament had 6 holes that had at minimum 6 holes that had alternate pin positions that changed on moving day. I think that just it is something that I think we should shamelessly steal from golf and put it into our elite events. I also am curious, like, I agree with you in terms of like the way in terms of like shaping the shot. And as I'm looking at hole 9, for example, I wonder, and it's just hard to tell from the caddy book, but if you were to put baskets like on, I think even if you were just to, and you talk about the turnover versus the hyzer shot, like move the basket on the left side of the circle to the right side, on either side of like a large clump of trees, that could create that force where a hyzer shot is still a viable option, but you will not get within circle 1 if you throw the hyzer shot. you only get inside circle 1 with the turnover, versus in round 2, it's the opposite, right? You don't need to make
like
it
golf, like where you're just changing
Yes.
the hole location within the green.
Exactly. It's just all it needs to be is just like the benefit you get as you approach the green. It doesn't need to be a drastic one.
And like it won't work on every hole just to right. Like if you have an open field, obviously moving the basket 10 feet, 15, 20 feet isn't going to do anything. But on a hole with trees or like tucking it towards the OB or towards the water, like that makes a difference. I mean, look at 17 at USDGC. That pin position is not a large distance, but it truly does make a difference.
It absolutely does.
And that's all it takes.
Yep. I actually wish the pin for rounds 1 and 3 was a little bit closer to the water.
Yeah. I mean, that could be the alternate, right? The alternate pin position is that the basket is 7 feet from the water.
Exactly.
And the standard is that it's 25 feet from the water.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, let's take a look at hole number 16. They mentioned this as a great FPO hole. Par 4, 626 feet. Teeing off, the FPO tees off. You got to go over like a small gap of OB. There's an OB golf green. It's 365 feet to the short water. And then you got to go over the water onto the green, which is water left, water short, OB golf green deep at like circle's edge. It looks great. I think this, I will say, this is one of the courses on tour, and maybe the number one course on tour for using water features to create beauty and challenge.
It absolutely does. The thing I thought you were going to say, this is one of, if not the number one course for FPO course design. Which
Well, that too.
I also think is true. And
That's
we
a
talked
great
about that
point.
on the interview. It really, I mean, the tee's in a different position, the basket's in a different position. Both are different, and it is a pair of appropriate landing zones, not just like, oh yeah, slide the tee up and make them throw a 100-foot chip shot and then an unreachable second shot. Like this is great course design, and they deserve credit for that.
All right, let's see. I wanted to mention, well, first of all, last year's winners, Emerson Keith, Paige Pierce. Emerson getting his first Elite Series win. Paige kind of shaken off, a little bit of a slow start. Obviously, Paige will not be the favorite coming into this weekend. Interesting, somebody posted some betting odds from Europe, like from an actual gambling website.
Okay.
And Paige was 10-1, which I thought was funny because that's exactly what Shawn Jack suggested as her proper price. Look, I think it's really tough to pick Paige right now. She's been in the OB too much, like all over the place with approach shots. But if there's going to be a course where she starts to get right, it'll probably be this one.
That's true.
So
I don't have her on my podium though.
Sure. We know this is a super long course, but it's got a lot of interesting design elements, right? There's low ceiling shots, water carries, cool greens. They really have maximized the property here, and this is not the course to point to as like a terrible ball golf conversion.
Yep. I agree. And the growth that it has done since its introduction on the tour is just leaps and bounds, and I'm very excited to see the beautification efforts that have gone into it that Sean Mercy talked about.
All right, well, let's get to our picks. Josh, take it away.
All right. Over in FPO.
Keep in mind, really quick, the Europeans basically still not here for the most part.
Yeah.
Except Anniken Sten came over. Yuli is back from his trip to the Copenhagen Open. And I believe our winner from the Copenhagen Open, Jesse Nieminen, made the trip over to the West Coast, so he's playing.
I think that is correct. Luque Lorenzen is still here.
Yep.
But she obviously stayed and played at LVC. So, okay. In FPO, she didn't play well here last year, but it's one of those. She's got the hybrid combo of backhand, forehand that I think is going to be important. Give me Holland Hanley. I know she didn't play well here, and she might not again, but you just have to have. I think I got to have Holland on there. She's got the distance. She has the tools to win it. I just don't trust her to win it. So that's my 3 spot. My 2 spot, I got Missy Gannon. when the Europeans aren't here, I just feel like you always have to be like getting Missy Gannon near your podium. And so I don't want to lose the points from Missy showing up. But my winner is Owen Scoggins. 2 reasons. One, she was great here last year and only lost to Paige.
Josh, you're really turning over a new leaf picking Owen on this course.
I really am. Here's why I think Owen played it so well, though. She has an ability with her flex forehands to keep the disc underneath low ceilings, that she has a combo of the backhand forehand that I think is going to allow her to define shot shapes that just is unlike any other player on tour. I think it's why she did so well here last year, and I think it is why it's so repeatable for this year as well. I've got Owen for the win on one of the longest courses on tour.
I would call you crazy, but she literally would have won this absent Paige Pierce last year.
And
by 4
toboggan.
strokes.
And toboggan.
It's true.
I think Owen can't win, like not winning on long courses is like Eagle not being able to play in the woods.
Listen, folks. Right. It's like we got to kill it. It's a dead horse. Put a bullet in it. Never doubt the dog.
Never doubt the dog.
What do you need to know? Never doubt the dog. I've got the dog on my podium, but not on my winning spot. In number 3, I've got Haley King. Liked what I've seen. Feel like this is the kind of course that she could shred. Is this going to be the week? Who knows? Not me, but I'm putting her on the podium. For the 2 spot, I've got Owen Scoggins. Same spot as she finished last year. But for the winner, it's finally time. Ella Hansen. It's time. It's time. It's time.
Charlie, I just want to...
She was 4th here last year. She taught 1,001 rated round. She skunked it in the final round. If she hadn't played bad in the final round, she might have won the whole thing.
I just want to prepare you. There were some statistics sent to us about our picks last season. Who we picked the most, who got us the most points,
Oh, no.
who lost us the most points. As the person who picked and lost the most points on Ella Hansen last season, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that you are right. But I hope you have a box of tissues next to you.
Listen, I have avoided picking Ella this season. I am waiting for my spot. This is it. California. She's got the good vibes from when she finished 3rd. It was her first podium ever at the major here a couple years back. I'm telling you.
I hope you're right.
I
have never rooted for you to be right more than this time. I want Ella to win one.
MPO, look, I'm just give me the gunners. Give me the boys here. All right. I'm taking Borella Berg, aka Calvin Heimberg, to go back to back. Calvin's back. AB's gonna shred. Gannon can't be stopped except by spit outs. So let's go. Big 3.
All right. I love it. All right, here we go. I'm changing my 3 pick. I had AB. I'm taking him off. This is no disrespect to AB.
It is disrespect.
It is disrespect to AB. But somebody's got to do it. And if you're going to take Ella, then I will also throw away 1 pick. And I will take taking Eagle McMahon in the 3.
No way.
Give him to me. Listen,
did you watch this man play it 2 weeks ago?
Yes, I did. And I think have you seen that Instagram clip that gets like overlaid over a bunch of other ones where he's like, diamonds make pressure and I love pressure. Like, or pressure makes diamonds. That's pressure makes diamonds, Charlie. Eagle went through it. He went through the fire.
You botched that meme just like did. Eagle botched his tee shots.
This isn't live. Can we edit this, Aiden? Can we fix this?
Don't take this out. Listen, I want you to be right. Obviously, if he's dialed in off the tees, he could win the whole thing.
He could. I have a question mark if he's going to do it too. But you know what? Now we're rooting for each other's picks.
All right, I am rooting for you. That's true.
2 spot, Gavin Rathbun.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm spicy.
I'm spicing things up here. Gavin Rathbun's played great this season and last season. So I went back 2 years ago and I looked him up. He didn't play here. I went 3 years ago, looked him up, didn't play here. And I'm like, man, Gavin just hasn't played this tournament. Like, I can't pick him. And I was like, is there? And then I was looking at last season's results, and lo and behold, he did play last season before he was playing back at 100%, and he took 10th. Gavin is playing on a whole nother level than he was last season. Takes
point.
10th here, top 10. Like, that made an easy decision for me. Gavin Rathbun in the 2 spot. Number 1, though, Gannon Burr. Copy and paste all your comments. Like, I really think Gannon can succeed on this course. So,
all right, those are our picks. Make your own. Go to discgolf.ultiworld.com/upshot-picks. Join up as a subscriber. You can make your own picks every week. Follow along as we go through the season. Join the Discord and get your bonus live rapid reacts that we'll be doing on Sunday night for the OTB Open. I'm looking forward to this one. Going to be a lot of fun. Last thing before we wrap up. Congratulations to KJ USA, Kevin Jones, getting engaged to his girlfriend Marissa last week. And so very cool. They've got their house. Awesome stuff. Congrats, KJ USA. That is going to do it for this edition of the Upshot. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long. We'll talk to you Sunday live in the Discord for subscribers following the OTB Open.